Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here, and welcome to another eMarketer Tech Talk, where we host guests from across ad tech, martech, and media. I'm Emmy Liederman. I'm an analyst at eMarketer, and today we'll learn about how advertisers can improve their connected TV measurement strategies by taking more of a performance marketing approach to the channel. So I'd like to introduce our guests from Mountain. We have John Zucker, who is the Senior Product Marketing Manager. Hi, John.
Hey, Emmy, thanks for having me.
And we have Brittany Haskins, who is the Director of Customer Success. Hi, Brittany.
Hey, Emmy, excited to be here.
So, John and Brittany have a great presentation for you, and afterwards we will open it up to Q&A. You can use the chat window to submit questions for the Q&A and to communicate with other audience members. So with that, Brittany, let's get started.
Awesome. Well, there's a few things that we're going to walk through today, so I'll quickly go through the agenda. First, we're going to talk about the data challenges that marketers are facing today. Next, we'll dig into how performance TV can solve for measurement concerns. And lastly, we'll chat through some upcoming CTV measurement developments that provide even more transparency for advertisers. So CTV has been talked about for a very long time as an emerging trend, but I will have to say it's no longer an emerging trend. It's definitely a dominant force within the advertising world. For years, marketers have thought of TV advertising as a brand awareness play, really great for exposure, but it lacks ability to track and optimize. Ultimately, CTV changes that. When used as a measurement or used as a performance channel, it offers something that TV does not in its traditional form. It offers targeting precision, data-backed insights, and measurable results. The numbers ultimately speak for themselves. CTV ad spend is expected to reach $33.3 billion this year and scale all the way to $47 billion by 2028, which will outpace traditional TV for the first time. Streaming platforms also now account for 38.8% of all TV usage, with major players like Netflix, Disney, and Peacock adding ad-supported tiers within recent months and expanding opportunities for brands to reach their audiences. Lastly, most adults in the US, 72% of adults use CTV versus 68% on Meta. And they're spending 3 times more time on CTV than they're spending on Meta. So think about that for a second. TV, which is the ultimate lean back experience, now is more engaging than social media. This isn't just a shift in consumption, it's a shift in attention ultimately. And it leads consumers to be more engaged, spending more time and streaming across more platforms than ever before. Now, there are certainly challenges that CTV has and marketers still have as far as CTV goes. So the good news is that many of those concerns disappear when CTV is viewed as a performance channel rather than being confined to traditional upper funnel tactics alone. What sets CTV apart ultimately and why you want to view it as a performance channel is really that data-backed approach and data-driven approach, something that's not really offered with traditional TV. So marketers no longer have to rely on broad estimates or assumptions to understand their data. They should get real insights into who their ads are reaching, where their ads are serving, how those ads are performing, and most importantly, whether they're driving real business results. So this shifts the conversation entirely away from just serving impressions to actually delivering outcomes. And marketers can now optimize in real time, they can refine their audience strategy, and they can ensure every ad dollar is working for them. That said, I know there are some concerns with CTV, and as challenges emerge, we certainly want to make sure that we're addressing them. So let's take a look at some of the common challenges and then more importantly, how we address them. One of the first challenges that we face kind of consistently and we hear about consistently is fragmentation. With audiences spread across multiple streaming platforms, it can really be difficult and frustrating to try to make sure that you're reaching the right people, the right time, and the right place to actually drive outcomes. A travel brand I work closely with faced this exact issue. They were committed to CTV. They saw that the results were there. They saw that the people were streaming ultimately, but they found that given the diversity of their audience, the audience was spread across multiple streaming networks. So because of that, they had to manage separate buys with each of these streaming networks. It led to inefficiencies, wasted ad dollars, inconsistent reporting, and difficulty measuring impact ultimately. So they needed a more streamlined approach and something a little bit smarter. So they lean towards a more centralized platform for streaming campaigns, and this would definitely be my number one piece of advice as we're combating fragmentation for all advertisers. So rather than managing individual buys across multiple networks, a centralized approach really simplifies your campaign execution and makes sure you're reaching your audiences kind of no matter where they're at. So you can reach audiences across premium brands like Peacock, Max, and ESPN with Mountain all in one place. And this eliminates the need for those fragmented buys, inconsistent reporting, wasted ad spend, et cetera, and can ensure, again, you're reaching your audience where they're at. Another thing that I would advise advertisers to do when they're looking to combat fragmentation is to seek a CTV provider that leverages smart audience targeting and focuses on high intent purchasers. So many CTV platforms actually leverage broad demographic targeting, which can limit precision and ultimately waste ad dollars. Mountain takes a different approach with Mountain Matched, which is the first and only keyword-based targeting for TV. By aligning campaigns with real-time consumer intent, brands can engage audiences who are actively searching, researching, or considering relevant products rather than relying on broad preset segments. For example, with my travel customer, rather than them targeting a general audience of travel enthusiasts, Mountain Match actually enables them to reach users and families who may be actively searching for memorable vacations, or who newlyweds who are searching for honeymoon travel tips and advice, ultimately resulting in more meaningful engagements. When you're comparing CTV preset audiences to Mountain Matched audiences, we see 6 times more site traffic with Mountain Matched and 2 times higher return on ad spend. So ultimately finding a platform that allows you this advanced audience targeting and a centralized platform that ensures that you can run across multiple networks at once will prevent you from falling victim to CTV fragmentation. The next thing I want to talk about is transparency. Definitely a big concern around marketers and people that are exploring CTV. Advertisers want clear, actionable insights into how their campaigns are performing. They want to know what's working, what's not working, and how they can optimize. Unlike traditional TV, where performance measurement often relies on broad general lift studies or correlation-based data, CTV can actually provide real-time, precise insights, and you should look for a provider who does that. You should also look for a provider with robust reporting capabilities, because it's essential for that transparency. So when you're on the hunt for a CTV provider that has that transparency and data, there's a few things I would look for. The first is reporting on keyword and audience performance. So when you're running your campaigns across various audiences or keywords, it's really essential to identify what are driving meaningful engagement and what aren't making an impact. A data-driven approach eliminates the guesswork, allows you to optimize towards highest performing segments, and allows you just more insight into your data in general. With Mountain's keyword level performance or keyword level reporting, it provides advertisers with deep insight into top performing keywords across multiple metrics. Can't talk today. With the ability to filter by campaign, you can also see what keywords are performing best within certain campaigns or different efforts that you're putting forth. You can also filter by time, so you can understand how keywords are performing across different times or seasonality. From there, advertisers can refine their strategy. They can add similar keywords to those that are performing well, and they can remove those that aren't driving any engagement overall. This ensures that your ads are continuing to reach audiences that are most likely to take action. The next thing you're going to want to look for is site impact reporting. It's really important for marketers to understand how CTV fits into their broad marketing strategy and their site-wide performance. They should understand what percentage of site traffic, conversions, and revenue are ultimately influenced by your CTV campaigns. So Mountain Site Impact Report, which is actually my favorite report and where I drive all my advertisers to look at, it gives you a really clear view of raw site metrics, your visits, your conversions, and your revenue, and it compares that to what you're driving for CTV. So it allows you to keep track of what CTV performance is doing, what your site-wide trends are doing, and allows you to see efficiency over time as you begin to scale your CTV budgets. A report like this is not only critical when you're optimizing your campaigns, but also in understanding your role that CTV plays within your overall marketing mix. Lastly, I would look for TV network performance insights when you're looking for a CTV provider. What does that mean? When you're running multiple campaigns across multiple networks, it's really crucial to understand where your ads are serving and what placements are actually driving value for you. Transparency in network level performance allows advertisers to make informed strategic decisions. With Mountain's TV network reporting, it provides this visibility by breaking down key performance metrics at the network level and shows which platforms drive the highest engagement, which are driving the highest conversions, and which are ultimately performing best for you. By understanding where your audience is streaming and what networks are really driving that best performance, it allows you to understand a deeper insight into your audience in total and allows you to make optimizations for CTV and for your other channels. This data ultimately empowers you to make smarter decisions, and you can even block networks that don't align with your strategy if you're ultimately saying that something's not moving the needle for you. To further ensure Mountain's transparency, we do have measurement and attribution reports available through our trusted third-party partners like Google Analytics and Rockerbox, offering an additional layer of confidence in data. The ability to track and measure CTV performance ultimately represents a major shift from traditional TV advertising. This is, again, traditional TV advertising where brands relied on broad estimates or post-campaign analysis to make decisions. Instead, you can make real-time decisions with transparent reporting and providers who provide such. I'm going to pass it over to John now to walk through how to leverage data to optimize your performance TV campaigns.
Thanks, Brittany. Like Brittany mentioned, CTV just isn't new at this point, but what we're measuring and how advertisers use that information is still evolving. And that's fully apparent when it comes to optimizing connected TV campaigns. Now, for years, marketers have been optimizing CTV campaigns to achieve effective reach and incremental reach beyond their traditional TV buys. And that is important, but it's a fairly limited use case, especially for performance marketers who need to drive measurable outcomes. That's why if you are a performance marketer, you need to work with a CTV platform that has a unique identity graph that understands the connected devices in each household. These privacy-compliant graphs allow advertisers to measure the direct influence of a CTV commercial on someone completing a real performance action like a site visit and a conversion. And since connected TV is essentially TV with the advanced piping of digital advertising, we can then track the variables that impact how well a CTV ad drives an action, including what time the ad was served, to what audience, on what TV network, at what frequency, with what recency, and more. We can then use this data to optimize the delivery of our TV ads to maximize site traffic, conversions, and revenue, and that includes incremental revenue. In essentially the second wave of CTV, advertisers started doing this type of performance optimization manually in DSPs, but oftentimes this took hours of analysis in order to pull insights and then even more time to implement them one at a time. Now, platforms like Mountain constantly ingest all of these data points and use them to optimize campaigns thousands of times each day to drive the best performance possible. By automating optimization, we've actually found that CTV campaigns can drive at least 91% higher ROAS on average than if you were optimizing them manually, like advertisers had to do years ago. Now, that's one way you can optimize campaigns, but the other side of this is how do we use this data to improve our measurement? CTV's data opens up brand new doors for measurement. Again, thanks to CTV's digital pipes, you can now measure the performance of your TV campaigns, but you can also measure them alongside your other marketing channels in third parties that you trust, like Google Analytics. Now, it's important that you should be able to measure all of your performance marketing channels in a Google Analytics side by side on an apples to apples basis. And it's becoming more popular for performance TV platforms like Mountain to be integrated with GA, but not all integrations are made the same. So it's important that you understand exactly what goes into an integration with GA when it comes to a CTV campaign. Now, what's important is that a partner gives you the flexibility to maintain control over your attribution settings. So with Mountain, we only send site visit data into GA. From there, you can apply the exact same attribution methodologies you use to track conversions for, say, your paid social campaigns directly to your TV campaigns. That makes sure that all of your conversion attribution is done on an apples to apples basis. Now, beyond GA, we're also integrated with platforms like Rockerbox, again, all to make sure that it's easy for marketers to get one view of their unified measurement across all of their marketing channels. That way you can optimize your investment accordingly. Now, when it comes to reporting, control and transparency really are key, and you should be able to view TV's impact however you see fit. Oftentimes, that means not just looking at it in a one-size-fits-all basis, but looking at it from different vantage points. So one way of doing so that we offer is first touch reporting. Here you choose your attribution windows. What is your visit window when somebody watches your TV ad and they visit your site? Then your conversion window, how often they then take to convert. And you can see all of the site visits and conversions that are influenced directly by your TV campaigns. That's important to understand. What is the overall total impact of your TV campaigns? It's also important to understand the incremental impact of your TV campaigns. And that's why we offer incrementality reporting. There you can look at the conversions and revenue that you earned from your TV campaigns that you wouldn't have earned without them. We at Mountain do this through always-on controlled versus exposed testing. It's the easiest way in order to understand what is the introduction of this other channel as a variable, and what does it have on the impact of the outcomes you're generating with your marketing mix. Now, this is two ways of looking at your campaign, but something that I'm personally excited about, jumping to the next slide, is attribution pathing. So we're coming out with this very soon in the coming weeks. Attribution paths is going to be a report that shows the routes that customers take to visit your website and convert after seeing your TV commercial. Its entire purpose is to provide insight into how different advertising efforts work with your TV campaigns to drive site traffic conversions and revenue. It's going to be really detailed. I'm really pumped about it. It's going to offer a full view of your customer's journey to conversion, including breakdowns by UTM source, medium, and campaign. So you can see, okay, somebody watched my TV commercial, and then they saw my Instagram ad and clicked through that to my site and converted. You can understand that path and then understand how to use those insights to refine your messaging across channels, because that's the path to conversion that most of your users are taking. So this is going to be really cool, and I think it's another way of looking at your performance that allows you to influence your decisions that you're making with your overall marketing investment. So to wrap things up, today's key takeaways are these three. First, connected TV's ad opportunity is growing, but advertisers are still looking for the best ways to use the channel and measure the results. Two, by using CTV as a performance channel, many of the perceived problems, such as fragmentation, audience targeting, transparency, are less relevant as advertisers are focused on outcomes. And finally, new advancements in the CTV measurement space and data usage space will give advertisers even more insight into where their ads are running and how their audiences are converting. Now, Amy, I've seen a few questions come through, so I'm going to pass it back to you, and maybe you can answer some of those.
Awesome. John and Brittany, thank you so much for those insights. It was really interesting to hear because I think there's so much discourse about consumers having shortening attention spans, hearing that comparison of CTV engagement and engagement on social platforms, and how consumers are really going back to long form and kind of how you can make the most of that audience that you have on CTV. So I believe we have quite a few questions. The first question I think could be best for Brittany. I am a B2B brand that hasn't used TV advertising before. Is CTV a good option for me?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think for B2B, I work really closely with a ton of B2B brands, and I think it's a great option for B2B brands to run on CTV, especially those that are new to TV advertising. Ultimately, it takes the best of both worlds, kind of as John mentioned. It allows the broad reach and broad impact of traditional TV, but it does have that precision and measurability of digital marketing. So with CTV, you're not just broadcasting your message to the general audience. You can actually target specific industries, job titles, and decision makers, making sure that you're reaching the people that you want to reach that will ultimately purchase your product or your service. And unlike traditional TV, where you don't have detailed performance metrics, you can actually understand from CTV what is driving website leads, visits, and conversions overall. So if you're B2B and you're considering running on TV for the first time, I definitely think CTV is the smartest way to do that.
A question for John. Can I apply the same keywords I use for paid search to my CTV campaigns?
That's a great question. It's one we get often. And the short answer is yes. They're a great way to buff up your targeting when you're doing keyword targeting on your TV campaigns. That said, when you're doing keyword targeting with Mountain, you're never going to start from scratch. Our system automatically looks at your website and it uses that to build out an initial keyword list that you can use just off the bat if you want to just use that list. Oftentimes from there, advertisers will then add their top keywords from paid search to round out that targeting and make sure that they're capturing all the different types of products that their customers are most likely to buy. We'll then match those keywords with real-time consumer data so that we're building audiences that are most relevant and are most likely to buy your products. So yes, but you don't have to start from scratch.
Awesome. And this could be either for John or Brittany, but we have a question from the audience that's what about CTV and retail media? Are we able to measure campaigns for brands if sharing data from retailers?
So I think it just depends on what channel you're using. So right now, I'll say with our keyword targeting uses integrations with retail media data providers. And so typically with most CTV advertising, use one retail media segment at a time, and you're able to then target and then measure back to it. With us, we're actually scoring across a number of different retail media data providers at the same time, and then using that data in order to find the uh, the optimal highest intent user for your product who's ready to purchase and take action right now. So again, it depends on the platform and how you want to use it. My recommendation, call it biased. I work where I work. Um, Rather than using just individual off-the-shelf one-by-one retail media data providers, get as much access to as much data as you can, and then let algorithmic scoring do its magic to make sure that you're finding people who want to buy your products. Brittany, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I totally agree. I mean, of course I'm biased, but I think that's that absolute best approach.
Awesome. And we have a question about attribution pathing for John. So regarding attribution pathing, are you relying on the client or the agency to supply the UTM that is used for the attribution path?
That's a great question. So it'll pull in automatically from the URL um, tag, for lack of a better word, right now. What our system will do is it'll see if somebody visited your site, it'll look at the URL string and look at the UTM, the source and the medium of that string. And if somebody clicked through, it'll automatically pull in that UTM and say, okay, we understand that they watched your TV ad and that they clicked through your Instagram ad or your paid search ad or whatever other channels you have. So you don't need to provide anything additional as long as you're already doing that tagging yourself.
Awesome. And one more question, I would say for both of you, how can we optimize CTV for lifetime value users?
Yeah, I
That,
think it really, oh, go ahead, John.
no, you go. I'll jump in after.
Okay. Yeah, I think you really want to focus on the audience and that we're reaching, right? I think as we talked about with keyword targeting, we're really going after users that have high intent to purchase and are often going to be lifetime purchasers. We have one particular brand that we work with that's solely focused on lifetime value of users, and they ultimately use keywords to understand which is driving that long-term purchase value and continue to add keywords around that. You can also look back at the data. I think we're very transparent with our data from the Mountain end, and we report back on all order IDs so you can understand, again, who that particular order was from and whether they were continued purchasers. But John, I'll let you add if you'd like.
No, I think that's exactly right. And just to build on top of that, oftentimes our customers will use different types of targeting in order to build a funnel. And so, from a keyword targeting perspective, it's a great way to get your highest intent prospects in the door. But then we also offer retargeting on connected TV and CRM targeting on connected TV. And I'll say from Mountain, we use our own platform to do our own lead gen and customer acquisition. And retargeting is a really good opportunity to take somebody who's already visited your website, who's already maybe taken an action, and then serve them a more relevant message for that point in the funnel. So if you have somebody who you already know is a lifetime user, maybe it's they visited your site in the last 30 days, or maybe they're on your CRM list because they're a loyalty customer for your brand, you can serve them with a specific message that's maybe a special time offer just for them because they're a loyal customer to keep them coming back and selling. It's been a really cool thing to actually watch. So for Mountain in particular, we're really proud of our brand marketing efforts. We're really proud of Maximum Effort, and we're really proud to have Ryan involved in our company. But one of the things that we actually noticed is that drove people to visit the website for the first time. But when we then retargeted those users with more technically focused ads, they actually ended up coming back and suggesting, requesting more demos, I should say, than those who just got another brand asset. So it's a really cool opportunity with television to use the narrative components in order to build a story that fits in different parts of a customer's journey with your business. And you can use that to ultimately build up their lifetime value and keep them coming back and purchasing more.
Awesome. Um, Another question we have is we found that most CTV providers have different CPMs for each platform across Peacock, Max, or Hulu that are pretty high. How do you see this trending in the future?
I can't speak for the individual inventory providers. That's just, I want to be completely transparent with that. All I can say is from a Mountain perspective, one of the things that our brands benefit from is our unique buying structure. And I just think that that's something to keep in mind when you're looking for any access to premium CTV inventory. So with Mountain, we're one of the largest CTV inventory buyers in the US. And because of that, we're able to actually use the collective buying power of all these different small and medium-sized businesses and agencies and enterprise businesses in order to negotiate the best possible pricing for all of those advertisers. It's part of our mission to democratize CTV advertising is to be able to use this collective energy to then get the best pricing on behalf of all of our advertisers. So my hope, and I think our hope, is that there's a benefit in bringing all of these different advertisers to CTV that haven't been there before, both for the networks and for the brands, because they can meet in the middle on better pricing and then all obviously then monetize more of their inventory. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody involved.
You spoke about democratizing the TV space, and I think that's a great segue into our next question for Brittany. That I don't have video creative, and maybe for someone that hasn't advertised on TV before, what should I do and how should I approach that?
Yeah, I can answer it a little bit more from the Mountain side. I'm not on the creative side in general, but I can answer it more from Mountain lens. I would say it's not a barrier to entry at all when it comes to Mountain. We have a ton of comprehensive creative solutions through QuickFrame by Mountain that make it easy to get high quality video production without the hassle of the long production times or working through multiple creative partners. So whether you need a brand new TV spot or you want to take B-roll footage or YouTube assets to build a whole TV ad, you can do that through QuickFrame, and they'll connect you with professional creators, and they kind of handle everything from scripting to filming and editing at the end. So it's really great team to work with. We also have a number of different creative offerings, one being creative as a subscription, or CAS as we call it. With that, you can get fresh performance-driven TV creatives every quarter based on the amount of media spend that you want to spend in the platform. So it's at no additional cost to the advertiser beyond just the media spend in platform. So this means you can get CTV creative without worrying about the creative expenses. And again, the like long production timeline. So really, it's not a barrier at all. You can start from scratch and absolutely get up and running on CTV pretty quickly. So
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. But John and Brittany, thank you again for this great content and for answering all the audience questions. We really appreciate it. Before we wrap up, let me just take a moment to tell you about eMarketer's media channels. You can register for live analyst and tech talk webinars on our events page at emarketer.com/events. And don't forget to check out our various podcasts, Behind the Numbers, Reimagining Retail, and the Banking and Payments Show. And you can listen everywhere you find podcasts and watch on Spotify and eMarketer's YouTube channel. And finally, please subscribe to our newsletters. Thank you all for joining us today. And thanks again to John and Brittany and the team at Mountain and our eMarketer Studio team behind the scenes for making this webinar possible. And we will see you all at our next Tech Talk.